Hey guys, welcome back. Really excited today because we're looking at what I consider a revolutionary product, something that was just announced a few weeks ago. I was really excited to get my hands on this and take a look. So we will be reviewing the TCS WowDiesel decoder today. MSRP $94.95 without the Keep Alive current keeper. That's basically a capacitor, or $109.95 with the Keep Alive capacitor. So obviously you got your discounts, brick and mortar, hobby shops, online retailers. We'll get into that later, but a lot to cover. So let's get started and see what they offer in this TCS WowDiesel decoder. Before we get into listening to sounds, I want to get some data spilled out so I'm not talking over the decoder. First of all, you've got the Keep Alive with and without the decoder. Those options I talked about MSRP earlier. They're working on a 21-pin socket option as well. So there'll be 3 different variations of this TCS WowDiesel. You've got Keep Alive, which actually allows the locomotive to be off the track or have track power interruptions, and it continues powering the locomotives without interruptions. We'll get into that later. You've got 30 horns, 30 bells, multiple prime movers. Currently, this decoder is only EMD. They're working on GE stuff later. You've got the 567 non-turbo, 567 turbo, 645 turbo, 710 turbo, which is what's in this ST70 ACE. You got 6 light outputs on the decoder, 19 different lighting effects like strobe and things like that. Full CD quality audio, that's 44,100 samples per second, true 16-bit. When I say true 16-bit, I mean 16-bit sound samples. They're claimed to be the only manufacturer where the samples are 16-bit. You've heard of 16-bit decoders from other companies like MRC that sound like crap. It's because the processor is 16-bit, but not the actual sound samples. So, this is a first according to them. The locomotive's sounds are all real, not synthesized. They've got this cool audio assist thing we'll get into later where you don't have to listen, you don't have to look for CVs, you can just listen for them. They've got 3 throttle operating modes. Prototype mode, where the decoder decides the notch based on the load. Traditional mode, where the decoder works just like we're used to, where it's after so many speed steps the notch goes up. And then manual notching. So that's just some basic information on data. Let's get started to listening to some sounds. Alright guys, first order of business is actually applying track power so you can listen to the startup sequence. So there's the startup sequence. Now let's go ahead and quickly place my giant phone over here and test the Keep Alive for how long it can go with interrupted track power. Hit the button now. About 12 seconds, maybe a little less than 12 seconds. So pretty good. That Keep Alive keeps the current going even if the track's dirty or messed up. So let's go ahead and go into some sounds now. I'm going to place it back on the track. Now there's several different bells. I'm not going to go through the bells in the essence of time. I will put a link in the description to all the different horns, over 30 horns available. But I'm going to go ahead and let you listen to the bell I selected, which is one of the ones that sounds decent. Now to select the bell, all you do is you're going to hit function F9. That's F9 when you have the bell going, and it'll rotate through bells, and it actually does the audio assist automatically. Let's hit the horn though. I don't remember which one I have in here. But let's go ahead and cycle through some of the ones I like. I'm just going to pick a few. Like I said, I'll put the link for the good ones, or all of them, from another video directly from TCS in the description below.
Nathan K3LL.
Here's a Nathan K3LL. Here's the regular horn. Just like a Tsunami decoder, F2 is the long, F3 is the short. The difference is the response time is way better, and you can do shaving a haircut, things like that, because it's so testy. You can hit it, hold it, or just let off. It lets off instantly. That's that short F3. Now from now on, I'm going to be just doing the grade crossings. One thing I want to tell you about the grade crossings is they have a quill built in. You cannot manually quill these horns, but the quill on the F4, which is the grade crossing, will actually automatically play, and it has usually about 3 different types of grade crossing quills that will play per horn. So that was the K3LL.
Nathan K5H. Nathan K5HL. Nathan K5LA.
So as you can tell, just because it's a grade crossing doesn't mean they can take a little bit of creative interpretation of that. You know, the conductors like to play with the horn. The engineers like to play with the horn, I mean. So lots of capabilities there.
Nathan K5LA. Nathan K5LLA.
Now the K5LLA is the one that's usually on the SD70 ACEs or the UP ones at least.
Nathan M3 Tilt.
Okay, now the M3 tilt's pretty neat because they kind of go nuts on the horn on the grade crossing. So that's just some of the horns, one of the bells. Let's go ahead and get into operation. So the grade crossings we covered, the bell, the long toot and the short toot of the horn. But let's listen to some other sounds. The brake we'll get into later, but you've got the coupling sound, which is function 13. Uncoupling, function 14. You've got the crew alert F16. You've got the windshield wipers, which that's a new one I haven't heard of, F17. What I've seen is these stay on until you hit the function button again. F18, the air spitter. So those are some of the functions with just the sounds other than the normal sounds. let's get this locomotive moving. I'm going to show you how the brakes work and some other features of this decoder. And the cool thing about operation is that you can get this thing going with regular throttle control, but F7 is the train brake at 20% per press, and F6 releases the brakes. Right now I've got the brakes on. I'm going to release them and the locomotive will start moving, and then I can hit F7 again, 20% per press. 5 quick presses, it comes to a stop in a hurry. So I just hit it 5 times to bring it to a stop in a hurry if it's flying towards something you don't want destroyed or you don't want your engine destroyed. Brake release again. I'm going to change directions, but brake release will get it moving again. And you hear the air let off with the brake release. So those are the brakes. You've also got the dynamic brakes that are working. That's an industry first on the dynamic brakes. We'll talk about that next. So here's an industry first. It's working dynamic brakes. Now on this decoder, F5 is the dynamic brake. But what happens is you press that dynamic brake button when it's moving, prime mover spools down to the preset notch, which is controlled by your CVs, and the dynamic fans come on. You press it a second time, dynamic brake fans increase intensity along with the volume gets louder, and the locomotive slows down to the preset number of speed steps. It's defaulted at 5. You can tweak the CVs to change that. So 5 speed steps is what it slows down to on the press. Third press, the dynamic brakes come full on, and the fans come full on. The engines, by the way, the prototypes cannot stop fully with the dynamic brakes, so they can't come to a full stop. They come down to about 5 or 6 miles an hour with those dynamic brakes. You turn button 6 to release the brakes. That turns off the dynamic brakes. The fans come down and the motor returns to whatever notch it was in if you haven't messed with the throttle. So let's go ahead and run through that real quick. I'm going to get the throttle moving. Let's just go 12 speed steps. Hit the dynamic brakes. Slows it down, hitting them again. Slows the locomotive down even more, gets louder. Third time. Full on. So I'm going to let it come around the corner here. Once it gets back in frame, we're going to release the brakes, which is F6, brake release. You see the locomotive picks speed back up from the brake release. So there you have it. Let me go ahead and turn the throttle all the way down here. And this thing has a lot of momentum built in. But you got to figure you've got your brakes. You've got your F7 train brake, which is the regular brake. And if you hold it and press it 5 times, it'll stop. And you also have your dynamic brakes. It makes playing with this locomotive or any locomotive controlled by this TCS WowDiesel decoder fun and makes it interesting because you're controlling the brakes as it goes along. Wherever that idea came, that is just genius to me. So I just stopped it by pressing the F7 button 5 times. And the motor spools back down. Let's go through some manual notches. You'll hear that. We'll cover a couple more details and wrap this review up. So function F10. The F10 button does the manual notching up. F11, notching down. We're at the bottom. So let's do 11 and work our way up. Now you'll actually hear the notch. The engineer basically changed the notch inside as well. Well guys, that wraps up the review of the TCS WowDiesel decoder. Awesome decoder. The fact you can play with dynamic brakes, the real brakes to slow the locomotive down, the brake release to speed it back up is fun, makes model railroading more interactive, makes it 10 times more fun in my opinion. I had a blast with it. The fact that the sound is awesome coming out of one Railmaster Hobbies 28mm speaker. You can get TCS 28mm speakers as well, but I got Railmaster Hobbies. The sound coming out of that is awesome. There's internet rumors saying they use external sounds in some of their demo videos, external sounds at the train shows. Well, yeah, it's loud at train shows, but this is an internal speaker, great sound you heard coming out of that. So that's awesome. That pretty much wraps up my opinion of the actual decoder. So I would check it out from several hobby shops, trainworld.com. You've got Tony's Train Exchange, different places online that have them available. Check them out. I won't really put a link below because I don't know where they're in stock at. At the moment, they're still kind of coming into the market. I want to say thank you to Norm at TCS. We had some talks about some of the claims TCS has. For example, the Keep Alive lasting 8 seconds, it actually lasted 12. I want to substantiate those claims or refute them and say, well, they're claiming something that's not true for you guys on the review. So I talked to Norm at TCS and another gentleman's name that escapes me. ModelRRSupply.com. They helped me get the Railmaster Hobbies speaker because they were sold out at Railmaster Hobbies. I called them up. They jumped through hoops and shipped it same day priority mail so I could have it in a few days. That is Mountain Subdivision Hobbies. So great service there. Guys, that wraps up the review of the TCS WowDiesel decoder. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on my channel. Take care.